Good morning, dear children. Welcome back. In today's session, we will continue our learning process of Class 6, Term 3, Unit 1 in History, Society and Culture in Ancient Tamilnadu, the Sangam Age. This is part 3 of the videos. Come, dears, let us learn. Before going into today's session, let us have a recap of what we learned in the last one. Dear children, in the last sessions, we discussed about the Sangam polity. We learned that the word Sangam refers to the association of poets who flourished under the royal patronage of the Pandya kings at Madurai. The poems composed by these poets are collectively known as Sangam literature, and the period in which these were written were called as the Sangam Age. We also learned about Moovendars, the three great kings who controlled the territories of Tamilnadu during the Sangam age. They were the Cheras, Cholas and the Pandyas. The Sangam age polity was kingship, which was hereditary. The eldest son of the reigning king generally succeeded to the throne. The rulers had fivefold duties. They were encouraged learning, performing rituals, presenting gifts, protecting people, and punishing the criminals. The army consisted of 4 divisions: the infantry, cavalry, elephants, and chariot force. And the king was the final authority for appeal. In the capital town, the court of justice was called as Avai, and in the villages, Mandram served as a place for dispensing justice. Punishment was always severe. It included beheading, mutilation of offending limbs of the body, torture and imprisonment, and imposition of fines. For local administration, the entire kingdom was called as Mandalam, and it was divided into Nadus. Kurams were subdivision of Nadu. The Ur was a village classified into Perur and Sirur or Mudur. Pattinam was a name for a coastal town, and Puhar was the harbour town. Women enjoyed high status in Sangam age. There were no restriction for women in social life. They were learned and wise women. Marriage was a matter of self-choice. Sons and daughters had equal shares in their parents' property. Dear children, in this session we will discuss about the lifestyle of people of Sangam age. During that time, the rich people wore muslin, silk and fine cotton garments. So the rich people had the access to muslin, silk and fine cotton. Common people wore 2 pieces of clothes made of cotton. The common man wore 2 pieces. The Sangam literature refers to the clothes or kalingam which were thinner than the skin of a snake. So at that time, the clothes were very thin and it was thinner than the snake's skin. You can imagine how thin it will be. Women adorned their hair plaits with flowers. Like our Tamil culture, they were wearing flowers. They adorned flower on their heads. Both men and women wore a variety of ornaments. Both men and women were interested in wearing ornaments. Their ornaments were made of gold, silver, pearls, precious stones, conch shells and beads. So they could make the jewelry out of anything that is available, including gold, silver and pearls, stones, even conch shells and beads. The people were fond of using aromatic perfumes. They were also using perfumes. The picture shows the various ornaments that were found during Sangam age. You can see the materials that were used. You can see precious stones and even beads. What you see on the picture is that of a Veerakal or Nattukal. The ancient Tamils had a great respect for the heroes who died in the battlefield. The hero stones were erected to commemorate heroes who sacrificed their lives in war. So those people who had sacrificed their lives, they were worshipped as heroes and they were given great respect. And stones were erected to celebrate their sacrifice. Coming to the arts, there are many references to the variety of musical instruments like drum, flute and yard. So Sangam age people had the musical instruments like drum, flute, and yar. Karikalan was master of 7 notes of music, Isai Vallavan. So he was very proficient in music. Singing bards were called as Panar and Veeraliyar, and dancing was performed by Kanigayar. Kutha or folk drama was a most important cultural practice of the people of Sangam age. There was drama or kutha at that time. They developed the concept of Muttamil, that is Iyal, Isai and Nadagam. You can see the picture of Yar there and the drums and kutha. Coming to the occupation, the major occupation of the people were agriculture, cattle rearing, fishing and hunting. What were the major occupations? Agriculture, cattle rearing, fishing and hunting. Other craftsmen like carpenter, blacksmith, goldsmith and potters were also part of the population. You could find people who were good in carpentry and blacksmith, that is metal work, who are good in making gold ornaments, goldsmith and potters who used to make pottery. Weaving was a most common part-time occupation of the farmers and a regular full-time job for many others. So weaving was considered as a part-time occupation of farmers. When they were free, when they had no farming activities at that time, they took upon weaving. And there were people who were doing it as a full-time job. Moving to the festivals and the various entertainments, the people during that time celebrated several festivals. The harvest festival, Pongal, and the festival of spring, Kartigai, were some of them. So they celebrated Pongal and the festival of spring, that is New Year, and Kartigai. Indira Vira was celebrated in the capital. So in the capitals, they celebrated Indira Vira. There were many amusements and games. This included dances, festivals, bullfights, cockfights, dice, hunting, wrestling and playing in swings. So these were the various entertainment activities like dancing, festivals, bullfights, cockfights, dice, hunting, wrestling and playing in the swings. Children played with toy cart and with the sand houses made by them. So even children had their share of entertainment, like they had toy carts to play with and they played in the sand making houses. Moving on to trade. Trade existed at 3 levels: local, overland and overseas. Local means in the local area, like we have local markets, they had trade like that. And over the land, they used to travel from one place to another place through land and have the sales. Then overseas, that is crossing the seas, they were using trade. The extensive and lucrative foreign trade that Tamizhagam enjoyed during this period stands testimony to the fact that Tamils had been great seafarers. Learn the 2 words extensive, 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 meaning covering the large area. Okay, so the trade was covering a large area. Next word is lucrative. Lucrative is producing a great deal of profit. Lucrative. And the extent and the profitable the trade was denotes that the Tamil people were great seafarers. A seafarer is a person who regularly travels by sea, that is a sailor. So Tamil people never feared the sea, they were very good in traveling across the sea. Warehouses for storing the goods were built along the coast. Learn the word warehouse, Warehouse. It is a large building where raw materials or goods are stored prior to their distribution. That is called as warehouse. So along the coast, they had a large number of warehouses. Chief ports had lighthouses which were called as Kalangara Ilang Sudar. So in the sea, they even had the lighthouses which showed the light. Now we will learn about the trade. Caravans of merchants carried their merchandise to different places in oxen-driven carts. Learn the word caravan, C-A-R-A-V-A-N, caravan. It is a group of people like traders or pilgrims traveling together across a place. So merchants traveled in groups in oxen-driven carts and they carried their merchandise. merchandise. Merchandise is their goods. They carried their goods in a group on ox-driven carts and they traveled from one place to another as a group. Barter system was prevalent, that is, exchange of goods. They were not using money, but goods were exchanged. That system is called as barter system, B-A-R-T-E-R, barter system. And there were two kinds of markets or bazaars in the leading cities like Puhar and Madurai. So important cities had two kinds of markets, like the cities were Puhar and Madurai. In Madurai, they were Nalangadi, that is the morning market, and Alangadi, the evening market. So there were two types of market, Nalangadi, which was the morning market, and Alangadi, the evening market. In these markets, large varieties as well as large quantities of goods were sold and purchased. So you could find a very large variety as well as quantity of goods being exchanged, being sold and purchased in this market. And Madurai was known as Tunga Nagaram, a city that never sleeps. Dear children, Ramses II is hailed as one of the greatest pharaohs who ruled Egypt from 1279 to 1212 BC. And on examination of his mummy led to a tiny yet astounding discovery about the international trade. Children, it was found under his nostrils, inside his nostrils, that Pharaoh had fragments of pepper, which is a plant which is available in the Malabar side, Malabar coast. When the mummy of Ramses II of the Egypt was uncovered, archaeologists found black peppercorns stuffed into his nostrils and in his abdomen as part of embalming process practiced in olden days. The word embalming, E-M-B-A-L-M-I-N-G, embalming is a new word, learn that. It is an art and science of preserving human remains by treating them. In Egypt, they removed all the moisture from the body, leaving only a dried form of that would not easily decay. You can see the picture of Ramses' mummy as well as black pepper. The major ports were Musri, Tondi and Korkai. The main exports were salt, pepper, pearls, ivory, silk, spices, diamonds, saffron, precious stones, muslin and sandalwood. The main imports were topaz, tin, glass and horse. The silk supplied by Indian merchants to the Roman Empire was considered so important that the Roman Emperor Aurelian declared it to be worth its weight in gold. So the king Aurelian declared the worth of Indian silk as equivalent to the weight of gold. Yes, the first emporium was at Musri's. Okay. Now what is an emporium? E-M-P-O-R-I-U-M. It is a place of trade, a commercial center. The Roman writer Pliny the Elder writes of Musri's in his Natural History as a first emporium or the shopping complex of India. So it was identified by the Roman writer Pliny the Elder, and he writes that Musri's is the first emporium or shopping complex of India, and it is written in his book Natural History. A temple of Augustus was built at Musri's, which had a Roman colony. So you can see there was a Roman colony and there was a temple for Augustus. A papyrus document That is a preserved document. Earlier, before the invention of paper, they used to write in papyrus. Papyrus. Papyrus is a material which is very similar to the thick paper. It is used in ancient times as a writing surface. And it is made from the pith of the papyrus plant. And that papyrus document is now in Vienna Museum of the 2nd century BC, records the agreement between two merchants, shippers of Alexandria and Muziris. So there is an agreement between two merchants, that is shippers of Alexandria and Muziris, and it is kept in Vienna Museum. Dears, coming to the trade contact with overseas countries, archaeological excavation have confirmed the trading relations between the Tamizhagam and the countries such as Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia as well as Sri Lanka. So they had trade contact with all the countries like Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia as well as Sri Lanka. Dears, coming to the trade contact with overseas countries, archaeological excavation have confirmed the trading relations between the Tamizhagam and the countries such as Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia as well as Sri Lanka. So they had trade contact with all the countries like Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia as well as Sri Lanka. Dears, coming to the trade contact with overseas countries, archaeological excavation have confirmed the trading relations between the Tamizhagam and the countries such as Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia as well as Sri Lanka. So they had trade contact with all the countries like Greece, Rome, Egypt, China, Southeast Asia as well as Sri Lanka. Now let us learn about the Kalabhras, that is the decline of Sangam age and the rise of Kalabhras. Towards the end of the 3rd century AD, the Sangam period slowly went into a decline. So it started its declination from the 3rd century. Following the Sangam period, the Kalabhras had occupied the Tamil country for about 2.5 centuries. You can see the Kalabhras occupied the Tamil country for nearly 2.5 centuries. But we have very little information about the Kalabhras. They left neither artifacts nor monuments. They have not left any of the artifacts or monuments for us to refer. But there is evidence of their rule in literary texts. But you can find the details about them in literary sources. The literary sources for this period include Tamil, Navalar Charitai, Yaperan Kalam and Periya Puranam. So you can find the information about the Kalabhras in the literary sources only. Now let us learn about the Kalabhras, that is the decline of Sangam age and the rise of Kalabhras. Towards the end of the 3rd century AD, the Sangam period slowly went into a decline. So it started its declination from the 3rd century. Following the Sangam period, the Kalabhras had occupied the Tamil country for about 2.5 centuries. You can see the Kalabhras occupied the Tamil country for nearly 2.5 centuries. But we have very little information about the Kalabhras. They left neither artifacts nor monuments. They have not left any of the artifacts or monuments for us to refer. But there is evidence of their rule in literary texts. But you can find the details about them in literary sources. The literary sources for this period include Tamil, Navalar Charitai, Yaperan Kalam and Periya Puranam. So you can find the information about the Kalabhras in the literary sources only. Sivaga Sintamani and Kundalakesi were also written during the period of Kalabhras. In Tamilnadu, Jainism and Buddhism became prominent during this period. The introduction of Sanskrit and Prakrit language had resulted in the development of a new script called Vatteഴുത്ത്. So, they introduced the Sanskrit as well as Prakrit language, and it developed to a new script, and it was called as Vatteഴുത്ത്. Many works under Padinan Keerkanavu were composed. So, there were many works. Trade and commerce continued to flourish during this period. So, the Kalabhra period is not a dark age as it is portrayed. It was not a dark age. As you can see, there were many literary books written, and there were a special script being developed, and trade and commerce also flourished. During this time, elsewhere in the world, you can find in China the Han Dynasty, and which had the gateways. The prominent structure were the gateways, and it ruled from 206 BC to 220 AD. The children, the Han Dynasty is known for its long reign and its achievement, like the scientific advancements like invention of paper, use of water clocks, sundials, seismograph, and so on. And moving to Central America, you can find the Mayan civilization. The Maya civilization, or the Mesoamerican civilization, developed by the Maya people, and it is noted for its more sophisticated and highly developed writing system and its art, architecture, mathematics, calendar, and astronomical system. And coming to Italy, you can find the Roman civilization, which had the Colosseums, and it ruled from 3rd BC to 1st AD. The Colosseum, children, was built as a part of the effort to revitalize Rome after the tyrannous years of 4 emperors. It had hosted gladiator fights, animal hunts, and or even mocked the naval battles. Now let us see the summary of the unit. The word Sangam refers to the association of poets who flourished under the patronage of the Pandya kings at Madurai. Movedars, the Cheras, Cholas, and the Pandyas controlled the territories of Tamilnadu during the Sangam age. Apart from 3 great monarchs, Tamil country was ruled by several independent minor chieftains. Archaeological excavations have confirmed the trading relationship between Tamilnadu and many foreign countries. Towards the end of 3rd century AD, the Sangam period slowly started to decline. The Kalabhras occupied the Tamil country. Evidence of their rule is available in Jain and Buddhist literature. Now let us go through the glossary. Strove, S-T-R-O-V, strove is tried hard. Dynasty, D-Y-N-A-S-T-Y, dynasty is a line of hereditary rulers. Commemorate, C-O-M-M-E-M-O-R-A-T, commemorate is to honor the memory of. Royal insignia, R-O-Y-A-L, royal, I-N-S-I-G-N-I-A, royal insignia is the symbols of power. Patronage, P-A-T-R-O-N-A-G-E, patronage is the support given by a person. Blazoned, B-L-A-Z-O-N-E-D, blazoned is displayed vividly. Acquitted, A-C-Q-U-I-T-T-E-D, acquitted is released. Bards, B-A-R-D-S, bards are poets singing in praise of princes and brave men. Warehouses, W-A-R-E, ware, H-O-U-S-E-S, warehouses is a large building for keeping goods. Portrayed, P-O-R-T-R-A-Y-E-D, portrayed is described elaborately. Moving to worksheet number 3. Answer the following. The lowest unit of administration during the Sangam age was dash. Question number 2. What was the occupation of the inhabitants of the Kurinji region? Question number 3. Land revenue was called dash. Question number 4. The chief of army was known as dash. That's all for today's session, my dear children. Thank you for watching. For more videos, please subscribe our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Samacheer Kalvi Guide. Thank you. Stay blessed.